Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're looking at 5 reasons why I'll never go back to traditional private hire. When I say traditional private hire, I mean the base companies, the companies where you have to phone up to get a cab, where they have operators, telephonists. Them companies are now purely app based, and these are the reasons why I'll never go back to being traditional. Operators, yes, they have your life in their hands. They have your earning potential in their hands. If an operator doesn't particularly like you, if an operator has his mate working on the same shift as you, you may well not get a fair crack of the whip. You may not get the big plum jobs. It happened to me once upon a time. I got a really big plum job. Suddenly it was cancelled, taken off me and given to somebody else. Why? I never know. To this day I never know the reason why. So operators, yeah, you get favoritism. You can get, the in crowd. You can get operators who go drink together with drivers. If you do all that and you're working, there's the good chance you ain't going to get a fair crack of the whip. That is why. Reason 5, operators. The class of customers. The customers on the apps are a higher caliber than your traditional private hire. On traditional private hire, you pick up the waifs and strains, all walks of life, all members of society on the traditional private hire. You can pick up from the very nice professional person, maybe someone going to the office, to the drug addict on the street going to get his next fix. When I did traditional private hire, how many times was I caught up in doing drug runs? Doing runs with these people who were like drugged out their minds, going to street corners late at night to pick up their fix of drugs, then taking them back to their abode. That happened many, many times, and it wasn't pleasant, it wasn't very nice. Seeing people in the back of the car injecting heroin into their arms. You tell them to stop doing it, they just ignored you and carried on doing it. Awful. So the class of course, I'm from the old drunkard old man as well. You get them as well. The smelly people, used to get a lot of smelly people on traditional private hire too. People who hadn't washed for a long time. I knew when I've gone on to Uber now, and gone on to the apps, which has been a whole breath of fresh air. My seats, my car seats, when I was on traditional private hire, were always stained. People would get on and they'd stain the seats. People would get in the car and relieve themselves on the seats sometimes. Well, really awful things were happening. But on the apps, you're a cut above that. You really are a cut above that. So customers, better on the apps. The working area. Now the working area on apps is massive. The working area on traditional private hire is far smaller. It gives you a bigger scope when you're on apps. On traditional private hire, I've worked in a big private hire company, and I've worked in a tiny company as well, where the working area was really small, and you tend to be doing the same jobs day in, day out. You tend to get to know the customers regular as well, and that's nice in one way. But I'm a roamer. I've always been a bit of a roamer, and I like to get out and about and get round different places. Now on apps, especially on Uber, I can work a huge area, an area which I could never ever work on traditional private hire. So the working area, massive. And of course, when you work in these massive areas too, your scope is far bigger. Your earning potential is bigger because you work in a massive area. But the small working areas, traditional private hire, yeah, I've outgrown it. I don't like it anymore. I couldn't go back now to working a small area, because after a week I would be bored out of my brains. So the beauty of the apps, massive working area. Office politics. Now this one is a big one, because especially if you're working in a smaller company, you'll know all the drivers, they'll know you, they'll know the goings on with the office staff. if somebody falls out with somebody, which does happen quite regular, then somebody doesn't like somebody else, or so, all the going on, the office politics, people, side with one story, then they side with another story, and in a small company, they become like a family, and you have fallouts, and if you've fallen out with somebody in the office, and you're on shift with them, it can be quite awkward. So office politics are quite a big thing, really, because you know each other, everybody knows each other, which one way it's nice, working with a group of people day in, day out, and you know everyone. On the app, don't know anyone. On the app, you're just you and the app, which I like that. I like the fact that there's no politics, no office politics, there's no one sort of knowing your business, no one's trying to if you have a fallout with anyone else, everyone knows your business, everyone knows if there's a problem with you. But on the app, basically, you are quite invisible, and you just work around, and there's nobody telling you, can you stay out longer? There's nobody asking you, can you stay out longer than what you want to? We're shorter drivers, can you do another 3 hours for us? Even if you don't want to, you tend to feel obliged to. Now, this used to happen to me on private hire, on the private hire company I worked at. There'd be shorter drivers, quite, especially for night time. A lot of companies are shorter drivers of a night time, so they ask you to stay out longer. They ask you, could you stay out and cover all these bookings for us? And you don't want to because you're tired, but you do feel obliged to, because you're part of the company. You're a family, really, aren't you? You're all working together, so you want to say no, but invariably you say yes. One night I ended up doing like 17 hours straight because there was nobody out, and I covered all the work by myself. That's what I did, because you're part of a private hire company. On the apps, when I've had enough, you just go, log off, go. So no one's going to ring you and go, oh, don't log off now, can you do another hour? All that's gone. Office politics doesn't exist on the apps. We've got to number one. My number one reason why I'll never go back to traditional private hire is this and this alone. Runners. On the apps, it's impossible to get a runner. On traditional private hire, yes, you can get runners. And of course, the later on in the night you work, the higher the possibility of that runner. And sometimes that runner can run a fair distance as well. You'd always used to I'd always get a sixth sense about runners, and I always used to feel, I didn't get many in my time, and I did private hire for a long time, and I only got probably a handful over like a 20-year period. But the runners I used to get, I always had a sixth sense that something's not quite right here. The number one problem I used to get, if you get called to an address like 16 Sycamore Avenue, and they come out of number 14 Sycamore Avenue, then I would say, how come you come out of that address? They'd say, oh, we weren't sure what the number was. Then they drive to this destination, and then the line used to be, I'm just going in to get the money, it won't be a minute. Never return. And of course, with the police having a runner, they don't really want to know. They've got more important things to think about than runners. But they add up. When you get a runner, it just puts you into like a bit of a downer, and you think, oh, come on, I'm working around here trying to make money, and people are just like taking advantage, and in effect stealing, because as a cab driver you provide a service and people don't pay for the service, then in effect they're stealing from you, aren't they? They're stealing. So that used to make me feel, I don't have many, but I know people who do get runners on a regular basis. Depends where you are, depends what area you work in, but runners with a thing, or just that element of doubt. If you're working on a shift and somebody gets in your car and you have that feeling of like, these people are not very nice, I'm not sure what they're going to do, and I feel that they're going to run on me, it's just not a nice feeling. And I've done trips when the best story I ever heard on this it didn't happen to me, but a driver who was quite new into the trade picked up a fare outside a bar in Liverpool city centre. Already alarm bells are ringing there, and they went to Glasgow at 3 o'clock in the morning. If I get a job on Uber from Liverpool city centre to Glasgow, it can be outside the pub, it can be outside anywhere. You're guaranteed, because the money gets taken up front, the person pays up front, which makes life a lot easier. So runners, you'd work your shift, and you get a feeling. I used to get heartburn when I worked on private hire of a night time, because you weren't quite sure who was going to get in your car, and that also puts you a little bit on ease. You're a little bit wary. Yeah, I used to have a little bat by the side of my foot, because you weren't quite sure who was in your car. And the later the night you got, the more chance, because there's less cars around, less people around, there's more chance that somebody was going to bilk you, run from you, or even worse, try and attack you for your money. But luckily that never happened to me on private hire. But some drivers, it did. Some drivers were robbed. I mean, being robbed in your car is an experience which you won't forget in a hurry. It will unnerve you to work again, and that is another reason why traditional private hire, I'm happy now in my car that I don't carry any cash at all, because working, especially a Saturday night, you can have £300-400 on you on a Saturday night, you know, and people know, get in the car, will know this. They'll know you're carrying cash late at night. So that element of being attacked or running on you is always in the back of your mind on traditional private hire. Where on the apps, that's being completely eradicated. That's the number one reason why I will never ever go back to the traditional private hire. Thanks for watching this video. Look out for more videos coming your way pretty soon. I'm going to do one next week, the 2K challenge. Can I do 2 grand 6 days on Uber? The 2 grand challenge coming up next week. Have a look for that. If you haven't subscribed to our channel already, people have subscribed to it now, which is lovely. Please give us a subscribe. Our aim is to get to 1,000 subscribers. That gives us the opportunity then to go live, to do live videos, which I've always wanted to do, live videos on YouTube. So that gives the opportunity to do live videos, myself and my partner Lee, and that will be amazing to do live videos and talk with you interactively live on shift, or you know, back when we do it from our little hub, which will be fantastic. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Give us a like and a comment across all the Facebook pages, and of course on the YouTube channel as well. And we'll see you very soon. Have a great day. Bye bye.